Hello, Dante and AJ. How are you guys?
Great.
Hey, Nir, how are
Great to be
you?
with you?
So happy to have, this is one of the most important panels right now, live at the summit, the Coin Nation Summit, representing Circle and Visa. I'm so excited about this partnership and this launching of a new Coin Nation Summit together with you guys as the keynote. And before we dive into all the news, the trends, the takeouts and the takeaways from this call, I want to start with maybe each person give us a little bit of a background about his role at the company. Maybe Dante, we can start with you.
Sure. Thank you, Nir. It's really great to be a part of this conversation and to join my friend AJ on a virtual screen. Hopefully next time around, we're doing this in person somewhere in the world. So I am Circle's Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Global Policy. And in that capacity, I help lead the company's overall corporate strategy, global engagement with regulators and policymakers, and corporate communications. Excited to be here.
Amazing. AJ.
Nir, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us. Thanks to you and the Coin Nations team. It's always good to do things on stage with our friends at Circle. Dante, great to see you. Nir and everyone, AJ Shanley, I'm part of Visa's founding crypto team. I lead our business and operations globally for Visa Crypto. And I'll tell you, Nir, I might just sort of hop in and sort of express some of the excitement. And it really sort of dovetails off of just being able to share the stage with Dante and Circle. I mean, Visa is a company that was founded on partnerships. And as excited as we are about pushing the industry forward, you know, I do want to give a nod to sort of the great speakers and sponsors you guys have set up at Coin Nations. A lot of folks are Visa partners, and I sort of lead off with an invitation and just appreciation. There's a lot we want to do in the industry. It's going to be through partners like Circle, other folks in the audience. I'll also give a shout out, which is if you're in the audience and we're not working together, if you're a wallet or an exchange or a crypto infrastructure company, we should be. You know, this is what we do for nights and weekends. We're fairly passionate. So, Nir, the way I thought I'd sort of structure today's chat is obviously want to chat about just amazing things that are going on in crypto. At Visa, we want to be a pioneer and help shape the future of digital currency. So we're going to talk about a lot of the exciting things that are happening in the space. Talk about a lot of things that Visa's doing. Excited to hear from our friend Dante about all of the things that Circle is doing. We're going to talk about some of the things we're doing together. And as I think about the opportunity that it's sort of in front of us, I think about sort of what's next, right? What's next for digital currency? And it actually takes me back 60 years ago to an equally ambitious question. And it actually led to the founding of Visa. 60 years ago, Dee Hock, founder of Visa, posed the question, what if money could be fully electronic? And then, 60 years later, you've got, you're all walking in, tapping to pay for groceries. My daughter loves the tap and pay at the point of sale. We're clicking to buy, books online. We're sending money cross border, all really without thinking how it works, right? And so when I think about the great work that Dante and team at Circle and folks in the audience are doing and how we want to help shape the future of digital currency, I think about the real world examples out there that crypto will unlock. I think about $18 trillion of cash and checks, which change hands globally every year, right? I think about sort of financial inclusion, the fact that there's over 1 billion people unbanked. There's hundreds of millions of people that live in countries where inflation is greater than 10%. They can't flow in and out of capital markets freely, right? It's hard to go get gold bars as a hedge against local currency. Crypto, digital currency can change all that. I think about, wiring funds cross-border. If you've ever done it, it's super expensive. It can be cost prohibitive. And then I even think closer to home, like in the States, folks wait two weeks to get paid. And essentially folks living paycheck to paycheck, that's 2 weeks of earned but unpaid wages. So there's amazing sort of like use cases front and center that I think crypto is gonna change, and that's where we get excited about digital currency. And if we can do a little victory lap, digital currency is not new; it's been around for a while. But in many ways, it's the innovations of late that's propelling the pace of acceleration in the industry. And for a little victory lap, some of the stats that we like to look back on: $2 trillion assets, at market value, right? That's it took a little over a decade to get there. Look at equities at 100 trillion. took several decades to get there, right? You look at gold at 11 trillion, Bitcoin around 1 trillion, right? So Bitcoin alone not far off of gold and really neck and neck with silver. You've got hundreds of millions of people who own crypto or traded in it. Look at the great work Dante and Circle are going to do, and I want to hear. We're going to turn it to Dante in a sec. Stable coins as a payment rail have come on the scene. That's something we get very excited about at Visa. Over $100 billion of stable coins in circulation. Dante can correct my math, but I think USDC, has eclipsed 30 billion, right? We get excited about the pace of innovation around DeFi and NFTs. You look at $90 billion of collateral locked and smart contracts, NFT commerce, brand new area of commerce. Single platform in August doing $3 billion alone. And then the last data point I'll throw, which I think is really just added to the credibility of crypto globally, is now central banks are on the scene, right? And you've got, 8 out of 10 central banks evaluating digital currency, 6 out of 10 really looking at pilots. And so very much from our perspective, whether it's as a new asset class like Bitcoin, whether the new payment rails like stable coins and USDC, new areas of commerce like NFT commerce, we talk to this all our time to our clients. We say crypto's here. Every company needs a crypto strategy. We firmly believe it. I'll draw a parallel, which is just like it would be unthinkable to be in this environment in 2021 if you're an e-commerce company without, sort of a retail company without an e-commerce strategy, right? Or a bank or a social network without a consumer facing app. We think in a few years you're going to be able to draw the same parallels, and it may be equally sort of unimaginable to be a global business without a crypto strategy. And so before turn it to Dante in a few, Dante, to hear about Circle strategy. But I do want to, spend a few minutes on some of the things that Visa is doing in the space. And namely, we've been really public about wanting to push the industry forward. Fundamentally, we're a payments company. First and foremost, we want to make sure, that if you've got a Visa card, you can go out and, spend and safely and securely and responsibly purchase crypto. That's pretty simple, right? Second, we want to make sure that once you've purchased crypto on a wallet or an exchange and you hold your funds in a wallet, we want to make sure that you can then spend those funds at 70 million merchants worldwide. These are entities that we call Visa partner wallets. These are companies like FTX, Crypto.com, who've undergone our compliance program. They have a Visa card in market. So if you have funds at one of these exchanges or wallets, you want to go spend your funds at 70 million merchants worldwide. You don't need those merchants to upgrade and have QR codes or custody private keys. You tap and go, right? And it's a construct we're proud of. We'll talk about how we're working with Circle later in the Visa partner wallet construct. And earlier this year, we just announced over $1 billion in payment volume tied to our crypto programs. And then the last thing I'll say is, we've got an aggressive product strategy, product and partnership. We want to serve as the bridge between our 70 million merchants, our 15,000 financial institutions, and the crypto ecosystem. We've got a product strategy out. We built a crypto API platform. We've got more coming, but this is where the Circle aspect comes in. And we've partnering with world-class companies like Dante, like Circle, to help bridge the gap between traditional payment rails and new blockchain payment rails. And so, Dante, that's some of my excitement. And you and I have spent a lot of time, and we've spent a lot of time with Circle over the years. Some of the things that we're doing together later, I'd love to turn it to you and just hear about some of the things that you're excited about as well, and some of the things that Circle's working on.
Yeah, well, first of all, AJ, what an impassioned and really amazing narrative you opened with. As you spoke, I'm reminded of one of my favorite refrains, which is that if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go together. And to see how much Visa has been such a central catalyst in not only normalizing the industry, but creating that bridge between what is a digitally native financial instrument, such as stablecoins and USDC, but also powering the on-ramps to 70 million merchants and all the rest. And so I think we're at a tipping point, not only as a company, but also frankly, as an industry, what I'm characterizing as that blue checkmark moment, where not unlike the internet before, the last time we globally had conversations about the hardware and software that makes technology and the internet possible, The second it started to fade to the background is when we really changed the world with it. And I think crypto, blockchain-based payment systems, and the type of nexus that we're seeing, courtesy to the partnerships that we have with yourselves and many others, is now at that same inflection point where the technology is fading to the background. We're spending less time at conferences discussing what is blockchain, what is crypto, algorithmic stable coins, and all of the other sort of acronyms and crypto bingo buzzwords that can come along for the ride. And what we're now discussing are outcomes. This is now a technology and it's now an industry that's very, very far out of beta. And what we're starting to embrace, not only as industry participants, but across the regulatory spectrum, across many geographies around the world, is this opportunity to harmonize approaches to what this represents. And two, I think as Jeremy Allaire, our CEO, describes it, what is the potential if a dollar existed on the internet? And then what is the potential of that very dollar if it existed on the internet, but brought in the kind of merchant acceptance and the type of ubiquity and trust that Visa brings to the table? I think that's the tipping point for us. So as a company, we're incredibly excited. 2021 was really a breakthrough year for Circle and for USDC. We started the year in January with a $4 billion stablecoin. At this point in time, you're right, we've eclipsed $30 billion, and that rate of growth, I think, is represented by not only all of the crypto native use cases and these kind of burgeoning crypto native capital markets such as DeFi and CeFi, but also these incredibly unique novel industries such as NFTs, which is building a creator economy where no longer does the intellectual property and copyright material content producers effectively get socialized without any of the gains being privatized back to the creator themselves. These are powerful, powerful movements. We're only in Act 1. And so I think the growth of USDC has followed the trend line of the growth in digital assets in this novel industry. But now I'm really, really encouraged by the linkage to the real world financial bridge, where low cost, high trust, low friction payments is becoming a reality for many more millions of people around the world. And if you want to know what those use cases look like, let's just look back to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and think about all the things that you could not do with your money, and how the advent of digital currencies, stablecoins, and now these types of partnerships with Visa and many others are enabling a much more inclusive, lower cost payments environment, but where you're not subjected to internet funny money. I think that's the other big breakthrough we've seen this year is the standard of trust, the standard of price certainty, the standard of price parity and economic parity to a US dollar, the underlying reference asset for USDC, is now enjoying broad understanding. So it's an exciting time.
Dante, I love it. I would fully agree that we've sort of emerged from like the hypothetical to now the real world. And in fact, you know, I'm going to carry it I think it's a great segue into some of the things that Visa and Circle are doing together. And I think about very much going from the abstract to the real world and bridging traditional payment rails to, you know, blockchain payment rails. You know, I'm going to talk about two things that we're doing together, and I love your view on it and some of the things that you think are exciting. And then, by the way, other use cases as well. When I think about, you know, the most exciting thing I think that Visa and Circle are doing together, it's this notion of there's a lot of reasons, and you touched on a few, and I think I touched on a few in the opening on why, you know, the use cases for USDC and stable coins and you know, attractiveness of sending money to folks cross border, maybe as easy money movement, you know, maybe a hedge against local inflation. And I think about sending, you know, funds to sellers or workers in different areas. Maybe it's Argentina. So you can use the Circle platform for that, which is terrific. And if you're going to send these funds, you also want to make sure though you're sending them to a vetted destination. And this is where the Visa aspect, I mentioned the Visa partner wallets earlier. So if you're a marketplace sending funds to a wallet, you really want two things. One is you want to make sure it's going to a vetted destination. And so, you know, I mentioned that we work with 55 Visa partner wallets. These are wallets and exchanges that have undergone Visa compliance. So if you're a marketplace, you can know, rest assured that you're sending it to a vetted destination. As importantly, make sure that if you're sending funds to someone in, you know, Argentina, there's some utility on the other end, right? And that they can use the USDC there at their local barista, and we can do that through a Visa card, right? So that's one of the real world implications and sort of use cases I get excited about. And I know we've got a lot going on that thread. I'll tell you also a little closer to home, Dante, you know, we've upgraded. I know you guys are as part of Center. just a huge pioneer behind USDC. And it's amazing. You mentioned that 4 billion to 30 billion rise. It's amazing. I remember showing charts not too long ago that had the 4 billion on it. In fact, I recall it was, when it was less than that. We're looking strongly at fiat-backed stablecoins, and the first stablecoin that we have, integrated into our network, we've integrated our treasury system and our infrastructure so that our partners can settle with us in USDC. And so the way it works is we've got issuing partners. They can settle with us in 25 currencies. We look at USDC as a different form factor of an existing currency that we settle in. And so now our partners have the choice. They can settle with us in fiat, they can settle with us in USDC. And I think, again, to your point, it's a testament to the real world nature of this. No longer are we having hypothetical conversations about what if. Visa's actually upgraded our infrastructure to pay for the way for this. And I think next step over time, we'll look at additional fiat-backed stablecoins. This paves the way for work, with central bank digital currencies. And I think it's just the tip of the iceberg for what the future can look like. Dante, thoughts on either of those previous use cases, or are there other things that you're excited about?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I think it underscores not only this concept of co-creation and of partnering jointly with companies like Visa, where on the one hand, many of the early sort of crypto anarchists or crypto utopians might have thought that this was an industry that was going to disintermediate everyone, including the Visas of the world. And to be able to see that quite the opposite has happened, that we're better together than we are independently. And I think you're seeing that play out in some really powerful ways. And you've just outlined a lot of those, AJ. But I always come back to this concept of 3 I's and 4 S's. The 3 I's are the big macro pillars for me that motivate all the work that I've done in this industry, which is, how do you improve financial inclusion? How do you spur responsible financial services innovation? And how do you do it in a manner that protects and preserves, and frankly, maybe even creates exponential gains in financial integrity? Those are the 3 I's. And I think in each case, blockchain-based payment systems are showing exponential gains on all scores. And bear in mind that so much of this technology and so much of this innovation is in fact open source. That's where Circle, together with Coinbase, co-created the Center Consortium to ensure that the posture around protocols for dollars and other fiat-backed stablecoins existing on the internet was an open standard. So much of the technology of building on public blockchains is similarly an open standard. And you're also seeing quite a lot of gains in spurring a developer community and building smart contract protocols and effectively spurring a wave of global responsible fintech innovation. The four S's, send, spend, save, and secure, I think are really, really paramount. And to be able to then build a bridge in which you have that ubiquity of acceptance, and you break the other paradigm, which is frankly, a lot of very early crypto projects labored under a couple of issues, right? One was the lack of price stability or volatility. There was an era of internet funny money. We saw it play out with the ICO bubble. Now we're seeing this really, really deep wave of commitment to regulatory standards, compliance, to be able to withstand the due diligence that a company and an organization like Visa would subject to a company like Circle, or even to an instrument like USDC, is incredibly rigorous. That's additive to the way we are regulated today. And I think those are important standards of trust that we're building on these networks. The last piece of the puzzle is that to then import the low friction open payment standards that break down the walled garden problem that plague many traditional payment operators and start to build linkages globally is really, really powerful. A lot of stablecoin projects, in my view, often look like the monetary equivalent of airline miles. They're usable, but only if you want to use one type of network or live within a walled garden. I think this is the breakthrough. And we're really, again, deeply committed to the partnership with Visa, deeply committed to what I characterize as building an open internet of value, empowering all of these types of use cases. And then over time, as central bank digital currencies move from abstraction to operation, very deeply involved with all of the central bank dialogue around the world around what that upgrade might look like of public-private partnership. And I'm willing to wager that for central bank digital currencies to thrive, open standards, open networks, public blockchains will be a key part of that pillar, and companies like Visa will ensure that there's cross-border linkages and operations made possible with public digital money.
Amazing, amazing, Dante, what you and Jeremy and the team have built. Dante, it is, I do think it does come up, and maybe I might key on the CBDC angle And you mentioned sort of, and I know it's a lot of your work as chief strategy officer and head of global compliance. How do you see this all evolving with central banks and sort of some of the regulatory conversations going on? I'm curious if you got a high level bird's eye view of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was most recently involved in the Chicago Fed's payments conference not long ago. And to my virtual left, I had Jim Kuna, who's one of the architects of Project Hamilton, which is the US Federal Reserve Board's experimentation and review of a potential digital dollar being issued by the Fed. To my virtual right, I had the head of the e-krona project from the Swedish Central Bank. And then further over, the leader for the Bahamas Sand Dollar project, digital currency, all of them representing effectively public sector innovation and experimentation with fiat money in digital form. Where we are right now is, I think 86% of the world's central banks are reviewing this, but I think mostly the review is at a technological level. What is the art of the possible? How do you build systems with sufficient transaction throughput? I think the policy conversations relating to the presumption of privacy, protecting the two-tiered banking system, and candidly, the acknowledgement, as you outlined in your opening commentary, AJ, that over Visa's 60-year history, this notion of moving money at scale really does require consortia approaches and requires that public-private partnership starting to emerge around central bank digital currencies. That the digital token cannot exist in a vacuum of public blockchains, cannot exist in a vacuum of traditional payment networks and of these emerging digital wallet environments and exchange environments. And so my hope is that more and more of the world's central banks start to realize that the way to build this is public-private, and the way, frankly, to build it so that it is enduring and you don't have a technological obsolescence risk with the tech stack that central banks might choose. And then candidly, the vendor capture that represents is to build on these public networks. Circle deeply committed to being a part of that architecture, not only of the policy conversation, but also the technological on-ramps. And I have no doubt that Visa too will be at the table as the world's central banks start to consolidate their position and move from abstraction to operation and ultimately potential full-scale deployment of CBDCs.
Good. It's a fascinating topic, Dante. I watch you. I know you're heavily involved. We've got an entire team that's heavily involved in a lot of these pilots, a lot of the conversations as the central banks look at it. Hey, I might switch gears to maybe different topics. I want to get your thoughts on what's next, and I might lead it off with two areas that, like everybody, we think are fascinating right now. One around DeFi, I mean, the fact that sort of like code and smart contracts can play the role of what we've kind of come to count on for traditional financial institutions. And by the way, it used to be developers, the smartest developers, spending months or quarters or even years getting a financial product out. Now they can get it out on a Sunday morning that we all interact with. And so, while we're early stages there, I think it's really hard to ignore on both a professional and a personal level. I mean, it's also a really fun aspect of crypto. Crypto's fun. We have a great time at crypto, Visa Crypto. We say it every day. On the second one, speaking of Visa, crypto being in, kind of the fun aspect of crypto, we bought an NFT, and we'll talk about that a little bit. I'd love to get your thoughts on NFTs. I think it was a big move for Visa. I mean, there were several aspects to it. More than anything, we wanted to show our commitment to the space. And as I led off, we want to make sure that if you have a Visa card and you choose to safely and responsibly, and you want to purchase NFTs, you should be able to do it with your Visa card. And then there were several other aspects. We wanted to show our commitment to the space and creators and small business. We think over time, most of our merchants and entertainment partners will have NFT strategies, and it just sort of unlocks an entirely new realm of both commerce and creativity. So that's where we're spending a lot of time. I think you can expect more to come from us there. Are there things that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you have such a great team in the Visa crypto team, and they're in their own right, ambassadors across the spectrum of not only NFTs, but the linkage to central banks and this explosion of DeFi as a space. I think, really applaud you for, again, having not only identified what is cool and emerging in financial services, helping drive it. And you have great ambassadors, including yourself, AJ. I think as you described it, if data is the new oil, in my estimation, blockchain is the new barrel. And that is allowing this internet native, digitally native financial services market to have this kind of Cambrian explosion. DeFi represents, I think, just such a powerful way of leveling the playing field for wealth creation and access to capital. And what we're really concerned about at Circle is building high assurance on-ramps for how DeFi can now start to go not only mainstream, but institutional. We've been doing the same thing with CeFi. We've been doing the same thing in sort of the development of a very, very strong, not only a stable coin, because I candidly don't think all stable coins are created equal, as you know very well. And this is a predominant topic in the global policy and regulatory conversation, but in creating a unit of measure, a unit of value, and a unit of exchange that lives on the internet, but yet imports the fundamental economic properties and stability of its underlying reference asset. I think once you have that, of all of the things the blockchain era has created, we talk about in technology killer apps. It's pretty clear that USDC is a killer app. DeFi is a killer app. The advent of NFTs are amazing, powerful killer apps. And they turn the pyramid of traditional organizational design and traditional organizational value creation and value capture on their head. But that's why so much about blockchain is less to do with technology, candidly, and more to do with philosophy. I'm a big believer that as a creator of art and a creator of any kind of digital content, you should be able to monetize it in the same way that when we use our money, we should come into it with a presumption of privacy, and we should come into it with a presumption of universal acceptance and ubiquity to the right side of lawful. And that's what this whole conversation today, AJ, has been all about. How do we build those bridges, and how do we keep this novel industry continuing to thrive and grow?
Dante, I can listen to you talk and your analogies all day. I'm gonna have to watch I'm gonna have to actually, Nir, I'm gonna have to buy a ticket so I can get the two I's and four S's down. I love the barrel analogy. Dante, man, look, amazing what you guys have built. I mean, we're huge fans. Obviously, think that stable coins have massive implications for payment rails, all in around USDC and is something we're working on together. And so there's more to come. Nir, I might toss it back to you. I think, thanks for having us here. It's clear that I think Circle and Visa are pioneering this. I'll give one plug out, which is, as much as we value our Circle relationship, we're built on partnerships. And so I'll echo it again, Nir, which is why we appreciate you having us here. To your folks in the audience, your other sponsors, this is how we're going to change. I think you said it, Dante. I forget the analogy, but you can say it again, which is like we're better together, right? So what I would encourage at the end, Nir, is if there are folks that in the audience, we're not working together, we should be. Again, you've got crypto native folks at Visa who want to push the industry forward, and we're going to only do it together. And I think the chat between Dante and I around how working together, literally this has sort of been the genesis of the last 2 years of work, and just kind of getting in a conference room together and ideating, and next thing you know, we're doing some pretty special things together, Dante. So, Nir, I might toss it back to you. I think I'd be curious, what did you think of all that? Are there areas that you get particularly interested in, or anything that resonated with you?
I get to sit here and listen to you guys and a bunch of industry leaders here on. We build a marketplace to connect all these brands together, and we call it a matchmaking summit. And people are not only hearing the talk right now as we speak, they are connecting to do business, connecting with Circle, connecting with Visa right now as we speak, setting 15-minute, we have a Circle booth and a Visa booth. They're going there right now to schedule the meetings. So, and throughout all the summit. So all the summit is geared to be like a partnership, business development summit with all the major players. And we have institutions here as well. And we have central banks attending, and all that you mentioned, NFT creators from the biggest marketplaces to the newest game. And all of them are part of this big economy together, as you said. So wonderful talk. And something I learned right now, even today, and I like, and I can say about Visa is that and I know that Visa is walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And I can say the same thing about both of you. And the idea was actually sometimes to educate people, to open a wallet, to start using, you mentioned NFTs as well. And that's beyond than the buzzwords, as you say, Dante. And we are beyond that. And I'm happy that we are here a summit that is much beyond than the buzzwords. You know, we are all about doing it right now with you guys, with your leadership. So I love it. And this new, you know, panel that we have here today is a kickoff for a series of leaders that you can watch throughout the days of the summit. So you covered most of the topics. So I'm satisfied here for our viewers.
That's
Good,
awesome.
good.
Thank you, Nir. And thank you, AJ.
I was going to say I did a lot of talking. I might cede the final words to you. It was a pleasure, Nir. I'll cede the final moments to Dante. But Dante, thanks to everything. Pass my regards on to the Circle team.
Yeah, thank you, AJ, and thank you, Nir. I guess if I get the final word, I would just say to ignore what the digital assets, blockchain-based payments, and this decentralized internet of value, to ignore this particular point in time and the sea change that we're starting to invoke would be the equivalent of ignoring, I think exactly what you said, AJ, ignoring the onset of the internet if you were a content creator and a traditional legacy firm. And I do think it says a lot about the level of enlightenment of companies such as Visa, and frankly, the level of engagement that we're seeing not only at Circle, but in partnership with Visa and many others across the industry. So we're now in this acceleration phase where the tech will fade to the deep background, and the only thing we'll hopefully discuss are outcomes or unmet needs. And so looking forward to remaining engaged, and thanks again for being on.
Thank you very much, both.
Great stuff.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Super. Thanks, Nir. Bye, Dante. Bye, everyone.
Bye.